Welcome to Azeroth United, a weekly podcast about World of Warcraft. My name is Denethar, and I am your host. Welcome everyone to Azeroth United. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a great show lined up for you today. We'll be covering what's new in the Trading Post and the Blizzard store, the MDI Global Finals, the Hearthstone 10th Anniversary event, This Week in World of Warcraft. In addition, we'll be talking about patch 10.2.6 community creator consternation, as well as Season of Discovery and whether or not it is a success so far. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and enjoy. And as always, if you have any questions or comments about the podcast, or if you have a particular topic that you'd like to hear discussed, please email me at denethar1@gmail.com, or you can leave me a voice message by going to speakpipe.com/AzerothUnited. Also, if you are enjoying the podcast and you are wanting to leave us a 5-star review, we would be very grateful. Apple Podcast is kind of the podcast game for podcasters, so we kind of have to bow down to them. So if you're so inclined to leave us a review there, we'd be very grateful. Before we get to the news, I did want to do a quick rundown of my week in WoW. Kind of a quiet week. I did a few keystones on my Fury Warrior and the Monk. Yeah, last week was gross. It was just nasty. First of all, nobody wants to bring a warrior on Incorporeal. It's not fun. I mean, no. It took everything I had to get into an 18 just so I could get a myth slot in my vault. So, yeah, that was a little rough. The Monk, I ran one key on him just to get something in there. So, yeah, kind of a quiet week. I got my other warrior. I have two warriors. I got my other warrior over to the Dragon Isles and got his transmog set up so that he knows he's ready to quest. And in Season of Discovery, I started playing my Paladin, or I've been playing my Paladin, but I really started getting him moving. I wanted to get him to 25 before the buff, which I don't know why I wanted to do that, but for some reason I was like, I've got to get to 25, and I ended up getting to like 23. Or 21 or something. But, it's fine. And, Season of Discovery is it's like every now and then I just feel like I'm playing vanilla WoW. It's like Be Gone Classic. And then I'll remember, oh, that's right, I have Crusader Strike. Oh, that's right, I have, whatever. Whatever cool ability. So, that's always really fun. And so it's like, it's familiar, but it's just different enough to be interesting. And we'll talk about some of the Season of Discovery changes that have come in. We did mention them last week, but I wanted to kind of give my little editorial on that and Season of Discovery in general. So we'll get to that. But yeah, kind of a quiet week. I didn't do raid. I didn't really do much of anything. Honestly, I had a lot of other stuff going on this week. So there were a couple nights where I didn't even log into WoW. So we are definitely in the doldrums of content drought right now, people. And Blizzard is not giving us anything to chew on as far as new content goes. So that's fine. They don't have to. So anyway, with all that being said, there's a lot to talk about. So let's get into it.
It's time for the news.
In Blizzard news, so we've got a few items on the store. Actually, let's start with the Trading Post. So, look, if you want to see what's on the Trading Post, go ahead and check it out. But if you're like, I don't know, I'm not going to go check out the Trading Post unless you tell me that there's something really good, I will tell you, there's a lot of green or emeraldy looking items, some returning transmog and items that are pretty cool. But the big ticket items are the Majestic Azure Peafowl mount, which is 750 tendies, the Sky Captain's formal attire, which is 800 tendies, and the Skyborn blades, which look like Quel'Serrar. They're really cool. I already bought those. Those are 500 tendies. Yeah, and the Traveler's Log reward this month is teal or tealy. Not sure if it's teal or tealy, which is a pet. It's a little mouse. I mean, he's cute, but yeah. Can we go back to the wristwatch? It's just a little mouse. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I guess that's fine. Sure, why not? Yeah, I know that we're getting some kind of weak rewards last few months. Even last month's, which a lot of people liked it, but ultimately it's like, are you going to be wearing that skirt transmog outside of Valentine's Day? Probably not a whole bunch. So I don't know. Maybe the Traveler's Log rewards could be looked at again. So, but the mount is really cool. It's a very colorful looking peafowl. And there's a lot of really cool, it's in a lot of the same transmogs that were on there before. There's a green version of the dress. We got the pink one last month and the yellow one in January. There's a couple sarongs. There's the gloves. There's some masquerade style masks. There's it's just a bunch of stuff. Go check it out. It's honestly, this was not my favorite trading post month. I was just kind of like, yeah, all right, I'll get the swords, and that's about it. And I got the dress because, I've got to make my girl look good. So, but aside from that, yeah, not too terribly exciting on the trading post. So, yeah, go check it out if you are interested in that. The title of the post that Blizzard put out was "Green is Good," which, I mean, that's fine, but I don't know. You can be the judge of that. On the Blizzard store, the Ashadar, Harbinger of the Dawn, which was the first Traveler's Log reward, if you'll remember back in February of last year, that's now available on the store. So you can, if you missed out on that when it came around, you can go check that out, especially if you've gotten your Burden of Unrelenting Justice transmog set. So yeah, I mean, heck, why not go get you a new mount? I don't actually have what's the cost here? It's probably $25. Yeah. So it's a cool mount. It changes color based on the time of day. It'd be great if they could make it so that you could choose one or the other, but they're really into this whole color changing thing, and I don't know what that is about. So anyway, so that's available on the store. In addition, the Dreadlord's Regalia pack is available on the store. So this was data mined a few months ago, and it is basically a Dreadlord themed set, which is a little underwhelming for a transmog set, but you get two of them, or two different colors of the same set. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but again, if this is your thing, go buy it. Awesome. I'm happy for you. This is not my thing, and I'm not going to buy it. So, I'm really glad though that Blizzard is not including tendies with any of these items, because they could very easily have said, get the Dreadlord's Regalia pack plus 500 tenders for only $30. They didn't do that. And I think that they are standing firm to we're not going to put tendies on the store. So, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. And so I will continue to operate in my normal manner, which is if I see something that I really like on the store, I'll buy it. But most of it I won't buy because it's not that important to me. So, yeah. So go check out the Blizzard store. I will have links to both of these articles in the show notes, or it'll probably be in your Battle.net launcher. So you can check that out as well. The MDI Global Finals are going to take place this weekend from March 8th to the 10th. So we've got 4 teams from each of the Group A and Group B, so for a total of 8. And we'll see. We saw some pretty spicy maneuvers back in group play, but yeah, if you are interested even slightly in checking out the MDI because you're like, what's this gonna be like? This group of dungeons and the current MDI teams, they're all really good. It's very entertaining. So I would definitely say check it out. Even if you just pop in for a little bit. It's the stream is on YouTube, but there'll be a link in the show notes, and there's also a website on Raider.io where they track the bracket and show who's done what and whatnot. But the MDI format's really interesting. I really wasn't a big fan of MDI. And then I started watching it more intently, especially after doing higher keys. I mean, I'm not doing high keys. I've done 120. But even still, doing an 18 is a lot harder than doing a 12. So watching them do 23s, 24s, it's like, okay, now I can understand how difficult this actually is and the coordination required. So it's pretty cool. So definitely, if you're even slightly interested, go check that out. And then finally, there was a tweet that came in. I just wanted to point this out. This isn't really news per se, but it was a tweet from Josh Greenfield, Agrend, about the number of bots that were showing up in Stormwind going into the Stockade. And basically what it boiled down to is he stated that they had successfully blocked a few of the open world farming spots for bots. And so they were being funneled into the city because they could no longer farm where they had been doing so previously. Which I think is very interesting because, you know, obviously people see bots and they go, oh my God, Blizzard is not controlling this at all. But they are. And they're working very hard against that. And one of the things that he said, which I thought was really funny, and I just wanted to point it out because I think he's great. I think he's great for the game. I think he's great for Classic. What he said was, I'm loath to comment on this because I can never give a satisfying answer. But the reason that this is like this is because we've been effective at squashing most other farms elsewhere for now. This is sort of the constant fallback for these clowns. The reality is, when we squash a few different farms, a lot of times they fall back to the next best thing, and in this case, it's currently stockades. So there you go. Those clowns. I mean, that's just so honest and direct. I love it. You know, he's not trying to use flowery language. He's like, it's a bunch of clowns. That's a clown question, bro. So, yeah, it's great. I love seeing the developers. And in this case, he is the senior game producer and season of discovery lead. So, you know, it's great to see them show not just an interest in the game, but kind of some passion for it. And the fact that he called them clowns, to me, it says a lot. He really doesn't like these people, and he really wants to do everything that he can, and he wants his team to do everything that they can to prevent these people from doing this stuff. So, I think it's going to make the game healthier. I think it's going to make the game better. But it is a battle, and they will never get rid of all the bots, ever. It's impossible. But they can definitely trim it down. So things like removing GDKP and clearing out open world farming spots, it's definitely going to help. But yeah, there's no way they can ever truly get rid of all the bots. It's impossible. So, but it's good to see that they are at least trying, and hopefully the player base is amenable to that. But you know, we all know that WoW players are going to be WoW players, and they will complain because they saw a bot. You know, it's like my grandma complaining that she saw a cockroach in my house. It's like, Grandma, I'm fighting the cockroaches. Leave me alone. No, I'm kidding. I don't have a grandma. Right. So anyway, that's it for the news. Let's go into this week in World of Warcraft.
Let's talk about World of Warcraft.
This week is Dragonflight Season 3, Week 17. We are just blowing through this. I really feel like we've got about another 6 weeks and we'll be done with Season 3. So whatever you're going to do in Season 3, I suggest you get cracking on it because you're running out of time. The Mythic Plus affixes for the week are Fortified, Afflicted, and Raging. Okay. Fortified is non-bosses have more health and deal 30% more damage. You know it, you love it. Afflicted. While in combat, afflicted souls periodically appear and seek the aid of players. They must be healed to full or dispelled before their cast. Afflicted Cry goes off, or they will reduce all players by haste by 100% for 10 seconds. This effect stacks. Oh man, it's so gross. And Raging, non-boss enemies enrage at 30% health, becoming immune to crowd control other than interrupts. Okay, so Raging Fortified obviously is difficult because that 30% health lasts for a lot longer. But you can still kick the mob. So if you have a particularly nasty caster or you've got a heal that's going off, you can still deal with that. But anything else, if you try to use your Hammer of Justice or a Shockwave as a interrupt, it's not going to work. Yeah, so this is mostly just annoying. It used to be a lot worse. Man, this used to be a lot worse because they did a lot more damage too. But now it's just annoying, and it's annoying to deal with, and you just have to burn them down as fast as you can. That's really how you deal with raging. Hit harder. Afflicted is the nasty one here, and I'll tell you, the fact that Afflicted is limited to just a few classes is so frustrating. Because that means that if you're on a hunter, if you're on a rogue, if you're on a warlock, if you're on a mage, if you're on a warrior, you're screwed. Demon hunter. Some of those classes are more desirable than others, but it's tough. And then if you are, if you're on your druid, if you're on your paladin, whatever, you've got a spec specifically for this because you have to have some kind of dispel. It doesn't matter what it is, but it has to be something. Curse, poison, disease, magic, whatever. But you have to be able to get rid of a affliction to get rid of these guys. Otherwise, you're going to be out of haste, and it sucks. When you try and hit, and you're just hitting for like a wet noodle because you have no haste. Yeah, it sucks. So, I don't know. This one's annoying. I still think it's better than Incorporeal. I've gone back and forth on that, but at this point, I think it's better than Incorporeal just because Incorporeal is rough. I did a dungeon on my monk, and every time the Incorporeal mob showed up, one of them would get paralysis, and the other one would cast the spell on us because nobody else was crowd controlling them, and I was like, "Come on, you guys, please, someone." Oh. Anyway, Fortified, Afflicted, Raging. We are week 17, so yeah, this is probably the last time we're going to see this combo. I don't know. I feel like this is kind of a meh week. It's not good. It's not bad. It's annoying. That's what it is. This is in the annoying group. We'll put it there. Okay. The weekly events this week our bonus event is the World Quest bonus event. So you can get the Sign of the Emissary buff, which will increase your reputation gains from World Quests by 50%. That includes Shadowlands, Battle for Azeroth, and Legion World Quests. So if you are trying to get those reputations leveled up for some reason, you want to get your Paragon bag or whatever it is, I would definitely go check those out. This is the week to knock out a bunch of World Quests, if that is something you're interested in. You can also pick up the quest The World Awaits from Khazra and Valdrakken. He will ask you to complete 10 world quests in the Dragon Isles, and you will be rewarded with 2,500 rep with the faction of your choice, including the Dream Wardens and the Loam Niffin. So if you are struggling to get rep for either of those two factions, this is the week for you. Go do your world quests, do 10 of them, after you pick up your quest, of course, and get an extra 2,500 or more, depending on if it's an alt and you already have a character who's at level 20 renowned, then you'll get 5,000? You get double, right? I think it's double. Anyway, go do it. Either way. So World Quest bonus event. The PvP brawl for this week is Comp Stomp. Jump into Arathi Basin for a head-to-head battle against AI opponents. This one's ridiculous because you just go in there and you beat the snot out of the computer. Make sure you complete the quest Something Different, which is to win a PvP brawl, and you will be rewarded with Conquest Honor and Marks of Honor. This is another one of those where it's like if you've never done a brawl and you just want to try it, do this one because you will win and you will get your rewards. So, and it's worth it. The Dark Moon Fair is in town from it's here now. It's going to go until this Saturday, March 9th. So as always, make sure you go and get your reputation and experience buff from riding the carousel or the roller coaster. Make sure you do your quests for your trade skills to get your knowledge points, and your trade skill points if you haven't maxed your trade skills yet. Fight the Death Metal Knight, get shot out of the cannon, do the Dance Dance Revolution, all that stuff. Yeah, you know what the fare is. Go do it if you want. Don't do it if you don't want. Yeah, that's it. Hot fixes. There was one other item, which is the Hearthstone 10th anniversary event is going to start on March 10th, which will be Monday. So I wanted to point that out now because we probably won't have another episode before this begins. And we don't know exactly what this is going to entail in game. We know there's going to be some sort of Hearthstone boards and things like that. But I believe that if you log into Hearthstone during this event, you will get the Fiery Hearthsteed, which is a red version of the Hearthsteed mount that most of you already have. So if you can stand to log into Hearthstone, if that's not something you already do, you'll get a free mount in World of Warcraft. So, and then as far as the World of Warcraft in-game event, I don't know what that's going to entail, but it'll be something. And we've got a week of it. So hopefully it's fun and it's something interesting. I like the Warcraft Rumble event, I never did because I was like, oh, this is dumb. But, I've played Hearthstone a little bit and it's fine. I don't love it. It's not really my thing, but, maybe it'll be fun. So check it out when it shows up on March 10th, next Monday. And like I said, we don't know the exact details, but something will be happening. And if my prediction is correct, and we'll see, I did say that next week will be our patch 10.2.6. So we'll see if that comes true. Blizzard might surprise us on Monday and say, hey, it's Hearthstone and pirates. Who knows? All right. Hot fixes for the week. So there was quite a few Season of Discovery hot fixes. And just to highlight a few of them. So there was some changes to Gnomergon, the high yield radiation bomb. They made some changes there. Slow effect can now be removed with snare removal effects, like Escape Artist or Blessing of Freedom. Its damage over time is now correctly nature damage, and a poison effect was magical. The initial damage of the bomb now works on enemies that are typically immune to slows, and the initial damage of the bomb will now always go off when it hits. So, I haven't made it to 40 yet, so I can't tell you if that's good or bad, honestly. It says they also say the armor value of certain mechanical bosses in Gnomergon has been reduced slightly. Higher armor values on certain mechanical enemies in Gnomergon was correct and intended, but we will adjust the armor on Crowd Pummeler 960 and Mechgineer Thermoplug slightly to provide up to a 10% increase in physical damage received, depending on modifiers present. We also checked the mechanical menagerie, and it is using the correct armor values. So, just little tweaks for Gnomergon. Yeah, it's fine. It's good. Class changes. We've got Druids, Life Bloom mana cost reduced by 50%. Developer's note, Life Bloom refunds half its new base mana cost per stack when it expires or it's dispelled. This part has always functioned in this way, and we've seen a bit of confusion about how the mana return portion of Life Bloom functions. Okay. I'm not sure what that means, but okay. Thank you, Blizz. Living Seed now heals for 50% of the critical heal that planted the seed was 30%. This heal now blooms from non-periodic healing received, in addition to any damage taken. Cool. Nourish mana cost reduced by 27%. That's always good. Moonkin Form now also reduces the mana cost of Moonfire by 50%. Holy moly. And increases Moonfire periodic damage by 50%. Sunfire also benefits from this change. Wow. Okay, that's pretty good for Boomkins. Moonkin can now also cast non-healing restoration spells without canceling their shapeshift. Oh, this is great. This includes Remove Curse, Remove Poison, Abolish Poison, Innervate, Rebirth, Revive, Mark of the Wild, and Gift of the Wild. Holy. Okay. Yeah. They're really, please play a Balance Druid. Fury of Stormrage improved when this rune makes Healing Touch instant. It now also makes it castable in all shapeshift forms. So you get the instant cast in Moonkin form. So not Healing Touch normally in Moonkin form, but when it's instant cast like this, then yes. Otherwise, it doesn't make much sense for this rune. That does make sense. Lacerate critical strikes can now trigger Primal Fury. Nourish is now instant cast when Fury of Stormage is active. Nourish no longer breaks Moon Conform when Fury of Stormage is used to cast an instant version of the spell. Okay, so they're just making it behave like Healing Touch. Cool. I think that's great. Good job cleaning that up. Too bad you didn't get it right in the first place. Hunters, dual wield specialization no longer grants a 30% damage bonus to Raptor Strike for wielding 2 weapons of the same type. Okay, got to knock Hunters down a peg there. For mages, chronostatic preservation no longer checks for a target within range or line of sight on its first cast. This tooltip states that it has an unlimited range, and the first part of the ability now does, but the Unleashed Heal has a range of 40 yards or 46 talented, which is unchanged. Okay. Paladins, Crusader Strike now deals holy damage instead of physical damage, ignoring armor, and is now affected by holy damage prevention. Crusader Strike is still considered a melee attack and not a spell. Okay. I'm not sure what that means in terms of practicality. Like, is it affected by attack power or spell power? I'm not sure. Seal of Martyrdom can no longer trigger Art of War and will no longer be triggered by Frost Oil or other weapon procs. All right. No more gaming the system there. Rogue Redirect no longer triggers or is affected by the global cooldown, and its own cooldown has been reduced to 10 seconds. Developers note, when the redirect is combined in a macro with other combo point related abilities, it often does not function as expected. We recommend not including it in such macros. Our game is a little chunky and it can't handle macros. Sorry. Main Gauche now generates 3 combo points on your target and the base energy cost reduced to 15. Just a Flesh Rune threat bonus increased such that rogue tanks will generate approximately 30% more threat. Okay, well, there you go. Approximately 30% more. That's good for you, rogues. Okay, Shaman, 2-handed Mastery Rune now also provides 10% increased attack power and 10% increased chance to hit with spells after hitting a target with a 2-handed weapon. 10% chance to hit with spells? Holy shit, that's nuts. Okay, so if you're doing the combo 2-handed, then 2-handed weapon, and then it casts a spell, all right. It's I mean, it's not like it's going to hit harder, but it's just going to be pretty much a guaranteed hit with 10%. I think that's a guaranteed hit, unless it's a 3 level above you boss. Yeah. Shamanistic Rage Rune now grants 5% of the shaman's maximum speed. Maximum mana per second instead of value scaling from attack power, spell power, or healing power. Spirit of the Alpha Rune now grants the casting shaman 20% increased attack power if they cast the spell on a target other than themselves. Okay, so they get a little bit extra. Earthshield mana cost reduced by 67%, and charges increased from 3 to 9. Well, that's good. Debase amount healed now. Yeah, that's like retail. Actually, I think retail is 10, but still. The base amount healed now properly scales with level and is about 50% higher than previously at level 40. Okay, cool. Power Surge Tooltip revised to clarify functionality. This rune periodically grants mana every 5 seconds, equal to 15% of the shaman's intellect. Same potential timing issues that could have sometimes made it give less mana than intended have been fixed. Okay, it sounds like the shamans are a mess. Whoever designed the shaman runes, they were like, I don't know what I'm doing. No, I mean, that's fine. I just, it's weird that they have so many strange interactions. Yeah, I don't know. All right. Ancestral Guidance cooldown reduced to 1 minute was 2. All right, cool. For warriors, Rallying Cry now correctly benefits the warrior's entire raid, was the warrior's party only. Yeah, that's okay, that's fine. In modern WoW, I understand that, but in vanilla, yeah, you had to buff your party, and so I don't know. It's fine. It's Season of Discovery, not Season of keep things the way they were. All right, and then as of yesterday, there was a whole bunch of class tuning that came in, which were for Hunters, Mages, Paladins, Warlocks, and Warriors. I'll put all that in the show notes, but yeah, there's going to be a bunch of changes to your classes. I know that my paladin feels really good. So, yeah, I'm happy with the way things are right now. So, and the druid, honestly, the druid feels really good too, but I'm not playing the druid right now because honestly, I just don't want to play a druid at level 40. I just really don't. I did that in vanilla. I did that on, in classic. I played a paladin in Season of Mastery and I really enjoyed that. So, I'm going to tank on the paladin for now, for leveling, but then once I get to 40, I'll probably just go straight heals. Anyway. All right. That's it for this week in World of Warcraft. Let's move on to something new.
Let's talk about something new.
All right. Let's talk about this Season of Discovery post. So this came through last week, and we touched on it a little bit in last week's episode, but I wanted to kind of give it a proper rundown so that we can kind of gauge what this means for the future of Season of Discovery, and also what lessons it seems like Blizzard has learned. So first off, okay, XP buff and leveling. What they said was, when we first concepted Season of Discovery, we knew we wanted alts to be a major fixture of the experience, and so we decided to add an XP buff, Discoverer's Delight, into previous level bands at the beginning of each phase. This is great for existing characters that were not yet at the current level cap, or were new characters created after the phase changes, but if you went into phase 2 with several characters at 25 already, it can be a little daunting to level them right now. We've been considering ways to help with this over the past several days, and we've made adjustments to our existing plans. Okay. Basically what they're saying is they want people to level alts because otherwise they'll raid log. And if they're raid logging, they're going to get bored because honestly, at level 40, there's nothing to do. You're either PvPing in Stranglethorn Vale or you're doing Gnomeregan. That's it. Those are your options. So they recognize that the game needs to be about the leveling process. And everybody is sick and tired of leveling. For the most part, we've been doing this leveling for almost 5 years. Some people for longer. People who played on some of these private servers maybe were doing this process over and over and over again. For me, starting on Classic, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. But it was a lot. I didn't have a whole bunch of level 60 alts. I mean, even back in vanilla, when I was playing in 2005 and 6, I had 3 level 60s. I had my hunter, my paladin, and my priest. And the paladin, strangely enough, I actually leveled him because I was so tired of what I was in Strathholm, I think, and I was like, well, nobody knows how to play a paladin correctly, and so I leveled my own paladin. So I was going to show them. I leveled them really fast, but still. Anyway, so what they're going to do is they're going to have this XP buff that goes from 1 to 39, and it's going to be 100%. Now, what does this mean for phase 3? Well, probably it's going to stay the same, and then you're going to have to level from 40 to 50 without an XP buff. And I mean, I don't know what the purpose of keeping. Some people are really angry about this and some people are cool with it. I actually really like it, but I'm trying to figure out what the purpose of having a whole bunch of alts in Season Discovery is from a Blizzard standpoint, aside from we want people to keep playing. If that's it, then fine. That's it. But are they trying to get us to level up a bunch of alts so that we can transfer them to a Season of Discovery era server? Or is there some other plan that's in behind the scenes that's going on that we're going to find out about down the road? What does this mean for the level 40 to 50 bracket? It means that there's going to be a lot of people leveling in the 40 to 50 zones, which there's not a lot of leveling in those zones. If you've ever leveled in Classic, and most of the people who are playing Season of Discovery have, you know that when you get to level 40, you hit the doldrums. You can go to Tanaris, you can go to Feralis, and you can go to the hinterlands. Those are your zones. That's it. And there's not a lot of quests there. Depending on if you're Horde or Alliance, you might have more quests in Feralas or in Hinterlands. The ones in Tenaris, there's a bunch of them, but they don't last very long. You can get maybe 1 or 2 levels out of it. I unfortunately think that what's going to happen, just like what happened with Phase 2, is that people are going to see the most efficient way to level is going to be to go into Zul'Farrak. Because, let's be honest, nobody wants to go into Maraudon and nobody wants to go into Uldaman. Just saying. So Zul'Farrak it is. So they're going to go in there and we're going to dungeon cleave and... Oh, yeah, I feel like they're trying to prevent people from optimizing the fun out of Classic. But it's too late. I mean, look, I'm playing Season of Discovery and I'm having a lot of fun. But the truth is, the fun is all optimized out of it. I know where all the quests are. I know what the correct order is. I know where to go, what zone to go to next. All the XP buff right now is doing is it's making it so that those numbers are a little thrown off. Okay, so maybe I don't go to Red Ridge at 23. Maybe I go there at 22 because I'm going to burn through the quest faster or whatever. I'm not saying that those are the levels I go there. I'm just picking random numbers. But the point is, it slightly changes the leveling game. And I think that might be what they're looking for. Okay, so XP increased by 100% for level 1 to 39. And I'm assuming that this is going to extend to level 40 in Phase 3, but we'll see. Alongside that, they're reducing the cost of the level 40 mounts by half. So it's 50 gold for mount and training, which will be, with reputation, I think that'll go down to 45 gold, which is great for the people who haven't bought their mounts yet. Yeah, my paladin's really excited about... Oh, wait. No, it's fine. I mean, again, this is what they want people out on their mounts running around. They don't want people getting to level 40 and you've got 53 gold and you're like, oh man, I'm running around. This sucks. I don't want to play this anymore. I'm going back to Final Fantasy. I'm going back to Helldivers, whatever. I don't even know what other games are out there because I only pretty much play WoW and City Skylines. Yeah, so I get it. Having the mounts cheaper, it's incentive for people to do stuff, and they have no plans to change the level 60 mounts, which I get it because that is a prestige mount. You don't need the level 60 mount. It increases your speed by a little bit. It's not a huge amount. Really, you're not going to feel it. I mean, you do, but you don't. Really, it only affects your farming. All right, so... And yes, I know you could go grind and farm the money for your mount. Most people aren't going to. I know that you're a tryhard, but yeah. All right. And then speaking of gold farming, they are changing the base gold reward from all quest rewards while leveling from 1 to 39. So this won't affect the bonus gold at level 40. This will only affect the gold that you get at level 1 to 39. So they're just trying to give you more gold to help you in the leveling process because you're going to be doing fewer quests. And fewer quests means you're going to be getting less gold, so this is kind of a catch-up. But it's a 300% increase versus a 100% increase in leveling, so I don't know. We'll see. So it says, going forward, we are looking at leveling adjustments for when Phase 3 launches, and the cap is raised to 50. We'd also like to continue making mid-phase adjustments like this to help smooth over the leveling curve for alts a bit, or help those leveling a bit slower to get that nudge over the finish line. We think alts are great and we want you to feel good about playing them, and we think this will help. Okay. I think this is a good change. I'm really happy with this. I mean, I'm playing my paladin. I mean, he's still under 25, but once the switchover happened from 50% to 100%, you definitely notice it. You feel it. It still takes time. I'm still not speeding through my leveling because I'm not doing it fast. I did my paladin quest. I'm getting some runes. But the questing that I am doing, the leveling that I am doing, it feels a little bit better. And I think 100% is actually a really good number for this because I feel like anything more than that, it's going to feel ridiculous. You're like, wow, I killed a Murloc and I leveled. Nah, you want it to be a little bit more deliberate than that, a little bit more methodical. The leveling process. So yeah, I think this is good for the long-term health of the game. maybe have, give it 3-4 weeks. Let the people level who want to level, the prestige levelers, the tryhards, the people who are trying to clear the raid. Let them level without a boost, and then a few weeks in, all right, everybody gets a boost, because we want you to level your alts. We want you to play. We want you to jump over to Season of Discovery and feel like, ooh, this is fun, not, oh god, what a slog. This is not about playing vanilla. This is not about playing classic. This is about playing a new game based on classic. So that's the key here. You gotta think outside the box. And in that vein, they are talking about raid sizes at level 60. And here's another one that, this came up and there was a lot of discussion about it. And they've clarified what we know currently today. The yet to be announced level 50 raid will be a 20-player experience. Molten Core will also be a 20-player experience in Season of Discovery. So, what does that mean? Molten Core is a pretty good raid to convert to 20-player because it's a starter raid. It doesn't have difficult mechanics. I really hope that it's the original Molten Core, not the Season of Mastery version, because the Season of Mastery version stank. It didn't stink. It was hard. And while it was doable, it was still easier than modern WoW raids. It was too hard for the, I'm sitting here with my drink and yakking with people on Discord. It was too hard for that. We had to silence comms. We had to discuss strategies. We had to think. We had to work. And while I think that can be rewarding, I don't think that that's what vanilla WoW, and especially Molten Core, I don't think that's what that's about. You want to make Blackwing Lair harder? Go for it. You want to make Encourage even harder? Go for it. Those raids are harder. Everybody should be able to do Molten Core with a drink in their hand and just relax and not have to worry about, oh my god, I didn't read the strats. They sent over a Google Docs that was 15 pages long and I didn't read it and I'm going to get G-kicked. Let's make Molten Core easy. Okay, let's make sure that that's fun and relaxing. Make the other raids harder. Molten Core, Zul'Gurub, that's it. After that, anything you can make harder. But those should be the raids that are doable by anybody in the game. So, including, the dad guilds, the mom guilds, the grandpa guilds, the grandma guilds, the under 13 guilds. Anybody that has people in those guilds that it's like, oh, I don't really know how to do it. You should be able to clear Molten Core. Or at the very least, go 8 out of 10 in Molten Core. Okay, maybe you don't have the coordination for Major Domo or RAG. Fine. But you should be able to get in there and do stuff. So he says, past that, we are still discussing exactly what raiding in the later tiers of Season of Discovery will look like in terms of raid size. Okay, so they haven't decided what Blackwing Lair, what Encourage, what any of the other raids are going to look like. Fine. I think that's good. Or maybe they have decided, but they're just not going to tell us yet. For a better background, when we first concepted Season of Discovery, we felt that it was perfectly natural for a version of original Warcraft to have 40-player raids. This is partially because the development time needed to scale them was not planned within the scope of what we set out to accomplish on the aggressive schedule we have, but mostly because 40-player raids felt like such a defining characteristic of original WoW and are utterly unique to this version of the game. It wasn't even really in consideration to eschew them entirely. When we set out to create our level up raids, however, we did feel that asking people to field 40 players would be a tall task at level 25. Yeah, no kidding. We wanted those first few raids to be somewhat easy to form, pick up groups for as well. As a result, we decided on 10-player experiences instead for the first 2 level up raids. As we've played the game ourselves and watched how players approach community building, we've realized that we've set some communities up to potentially struggle a bit by asking them to recruit up from 1 or 2 10-player raid groups to a full 40, should they choose to. As a result, we wanted to make it clear now what our plans are to start bridging from 10-player raids to higher raid sizes. So, in other words, if you've got a 10-player group and you're doing Gnomeregan, you either need to start recruiting or you need to merge with another guild, because you're not going to be able to do the next raid. While overhauling all 40-player raids down to 20 would be theoretically possible, this may be prohibitively difficult and detract significantly from the other features and content we have planned to implement in a post-60 Season of Discovery. Okay. And this is something that I've heard so many times, and it's driving me crazy. The people who say, oh, SOD only has 4 phases, 25, 40, 50, and 60, and that's it. No, they are talking about doing so much stuff at level 60. I mean, if you think that this is wild now, wait till we get to level 60. Oh, baby. All right, we're doing some investigating now to help us understand what would be needed and what the framework of the original WoW data can support in this regard. There are some features that we just cannot currently exist in original WoW as well, such as flex rating. So we are constrained in exactly what we are able to do here. Molten Core is definitely unique here, and it is simple enough mechanically and under the hood that it will be relatively easy to pare down to a 20-player experience. Right. Okay, so Molten Core, 20-player. Blackwing Lair, probably 40-player. More than likely. I would assume that Zul'Gurub would stay as a 20-player raid. And not be converted down to a 10-player. Although, that would be really interesting, wouldn't it? Have 10-player Zul'Gurub raids running around? That would be actually really fun. I don't know. Zul'Gurub is a good experience, and I think 20 players is good. And especially if you bring people up to 20 players for the level 50 raid and for Molten Core, it would be kind of hard to do this yo-yo. Oh, right, this one's 20, this one's 10, this one's 15, this one's 75. I don't know. I honestly don't know. The logistics of putting together a 40-player raid are a nightmare. I've done it. I've helped with it. I've been witness to it in every sort of capacity. It's always a nightmare. And then you have to have class channels. You have to have class leads. Why? Why are we doing all this? It's such a nightmare. It's so much micromanagement that needs to happen because it's too many people for one person to say, hey, why don't you do this? And hey, why don't you take care of that? In modern WoW, when I go to a raid and it's 30 players, it's a little spicy trying to keep everything coordinated. You don't always know what's going on. But thankfully, the way that modern WoW works is that the raids ramp up in difficulty, but only for about 75% of the group. In other words, if you have 75% of the people who roughly know what's going on, you're fine. Even I'd say 60%, you could probably, you're good. You could drag 40 people who have or 40% of the raid who have no clue what's going on through modern WoW or normal. You get into heroic and it gets a little tougher. You could still drag people through, but it's a little tougher. Mythic, no. But, yeah. Okay, so we will see what this means for the future of Season of Discovery, but honestly, I think it's pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to a 20-player Molten Core because I've always liked Molten Core. That's one of my favorite WoW raids, not because it's so well designed, because it's not, it's dog shit, but because I have so many fond memories of it. You know, it's where I cut my teeth. It's where most of us did who started in vanilla. Even people who started late vanilla, they had to do Molten Core. You had to go through Molten Core first to get your tier sets, do all that, get your trinkets, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you didn't start with Nax. When you got to 60, let's go to Nax. You had to build up. So, all right. Next is, this is the last piece, which is itemization changes at 60. Okay. One thing we have also not talked about yet is our thoughts around level 60 endgame rewards and the very significant changes we have planned there, and that may also be a key piece of context missing to help illustrate our philosophy on different raid sizes in Season of Discovery. Okay, so this is really important. He's talking about changing some of the itemization in the game currently. So, we currently plan to revamp many items from dungeons and raids, including existing 20-player raids, Zul'Gurub, Ruins of Ahn'Qiraj, at level 60, as well as adding new items across all phases of endgame. We have a ton of exciting playstyles that are new, or were traditionally seen as air quote off specs, that have been given life in Season of Discovery, and will come into their full power at level 60. We wanted to itemize well for as many different builds and playstyles as we were able to in the time we have. In other words, yeah, we know that you're playing a prop paladin, but there's no prop paladin tier set. There's very little prop paladin gear, honestly. And for endgame. So it's tough. You've got to like feral druid tanks. That's a tough one, because I know that druid tanks have to get the most mishmash random green nonsense gear that they can find. It's kind of wild. And then you go into the raid and it's strength leather and the warriors are like, gimme. So yeah, they definitely did make some adjustments on itemization. He says we currently also have plans to make adjustments to the difficulty of all raids, as well as the power level of rewards available. This does not mean making raids harder or easier across the board relative to player power, but looking individually at each experience and defining what those experiences are about and what their purpose is. Then he gives a theoretical example. A raid that may have traditionally been considered to be a catch-up raid, such as Zul'Gurub, could see adjustments to bring that challenge level up slightly, but also greatly increase the quality and diversity of the rewards so that they feel like a viable progression path alongside other current content in that phase, such as Blackwing Lair. Interesting. Okay, so they are talking about modifying Zul'Gurub. Okay, I'm fine with that. I love Zul'Gurub. It's a great raid. On the flip side, we also wanted to make sure that any 40-player raids that exist remain approachable, i.e. able to be completed in pickup groups, and that they maintain that soda and pretzels feel of 2019 Classic raiding. Okay, where you could bring almost any group composition or experience level and have success. We think that adjusting the quality of rewards to a more consistent level between different raid sizes could help provide a larger menu of activities to do that all feel rewarding. Wow. Hold on. We think that adjusting the quality of rewards to a more consistent level between different raid sizes could help provide a larger menu of activities to do, which is not there, that all feel rewarding or worth doing to a wide variety of players or play styles, and add a lot of fun things for players to chase to increase the efficacy of their chosen season of discovery role or play style. Okay. Ultimately, we recognize that not knowing what's coming can cause anxiety. Really? We also recognize that what we set out to create and the audience we created it for have grown and evolved in a short time since we announced Season of Discovery. It's also difficult for players outside of our development process to understand what the true end game is for SOD without us being extremely specific, but it is a bit too early to share the nitty-gritty details on every aspect of the level 60 end game. See, that tease right there, oh, it's so good, so good. Basically, you guys have no idea what's coming. That's very exciting. Some things are still in concept and other things will change based on other future learnings and where your feedback takes us. We want to arrive at a place where ideally, if your guild wants to strictly stick to a smaller raid team of 20 people, the rewards are compelling enough that you don't feel, air quote, behind a team focused on 40-player raiding. Okay, so that does clarify it. They're going to go 20-player and 40-player groups. So it'll be Molten Core, Onyxia will probably be 40, 40 for Blackwing Lair, 20 for Zul'Gurub, 20 for Ruins of Ahn'Qiraj, 40 for Temple of Ahn'Qiraj, and I'm guessing Karazhan might be a 20-player raid, and then Nax 40. So we'll see. We will see. But it's very interesting to see the process here because they're making it up as they go. They don't even have everything like lined up yet. They're just like, this is it's like the wild west of game design. This is fun. I'm really enjoying Season of Discovery. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So, all right. In other new things coming down the pipe, and this was actually quite comical. I gotta pull this up on Twitter. I'm sorry. I didn't have this signed on. So basically, what happened is Wowhead put out a tweet, was this 2 days ago? Monday, basically saying, the Blizzard has released what's coming this week in Warcraft, and there's no news about 10.2.6. And then Taliesin and Evitel made a response to it, which is like, oh man, fuck, whatever. So Holly Longdale, in her usual graceful way, replied, "Sorry? We have learned that not having news and deets is frustrating for our creators and players. Stick with us for a minute. Our goal is a bit of fun. As always, we are here to learn and serve, so to speak. So, this is like a burn and a plea at the same time. This is basically saying, calm down. Yes, we know it's frustrating. We know you guys are going crazy because you don't have all the information. And I think they are loving this. I think they probably think this is hilarious. But basically, yeah, people are mad because they don't know what's coming. They don't know when it's coming. And I want to know. I need to know right now. So, so I think it's kind of interesting. Now, I do feel like Blizzard are setting themselves up for failure because this whole secrecy thing around 10.2.6 has kind of built this whole aura of mystery about it that I feel like only the greatest thing in the universe is going to be able to satisfy. And I don't think that they're going to provide that. I think it's going to be something cool and fun, and it's going to be like, oh, that's nice. But I don't think that it's really going to live up to the hype that people are building up for it. And so maybe this is a failed experiment. I don't know. Is 10.2.6 going to be fun? Probably. Is it going to live up to this hype? No. There's no way. This is impossible. Not with this community. And I love the WoW community, don't get me wrong, but we're crazy. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out and how frustrated all of the content creators get, and all of the YouTube videos that are going to be out in the next couple weeks. You know, Blizzard effed up. Oh, Blizzard's grand mistake with a pirate flag on it and all of this sorts of things. So, you know, it's it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, but I don't see this ending well for Blizzard. So, and you know what? Honestly, this kind of leads into the next topic, which is the rant. So let's just get into the weekly rant and yeah.
It's time for the weekly rant.
Okay, so this is something that I've started thinking about recently, and this patch 10.2.6 business has really amplified it for me. But okay, so one of the appeals of Season of Discovery is the whole, and I'm using air quotes here, discovery aspect of it. In other words, well, you got to discover things. Cool. Which I think that's great. But in order to help accommodate that, Blizzard have not been putting out PTRs, which means things aren't getting tested. And I know, I hear you, well, maybe they should hire real testers. And you're right, they should. They have testers, I don't think they have enough. And I know they don't pay them well enough. I know that Activision Blizzard was kind of fighting away or trying to fight against the unionization efforts of some of the QA testers. So basically what it boils down to is the question that I have and that I've been asking myself is, and I'm not talking about gameplay here, I'm talking about the idea behind Season of Discovery. Is it a failure as an idea? In other words, hey, we're going to put this thing together and we're just going to put it out there and you guys tell us if you like it. In other words, is Season of Discovery as it was designed working? And I think, you know, the TLDR is no, it's not. There have been so many hotfixes, so many changes made to some of the core gameplay. I mean, right off the bat, we had changes to Ashenvale, we had changes to the rune acquisition system, we had changes to classes, we had some adjustments to the waylaid supply system. All of the new systems that Blizzard put into the Season of Discovery game have been changed in one form or another. Stranglethorn Vale has been changed, the raids have been changed, even down to the way that the Warlock rune for tanking for Metamorphosis was discovered had to change because it was not done well. It was implemented poorly. In order for you to be able to tank in the raid that you want to tank in, you have to be able to go through the raid in a form that you can't tank in. What? Who thought that was a good idea? So, is it a failure? Yeah, I think it is. I think this shows that Blizzard have really good ideas. but they don't really understand how to implement things without community feedback. And honestly, this is what scares me about patch 10.2.6. They're doing this with no feedback, no testing externally. Obviously, they're doing internal testing, but I don't trust their internal testing. Look at what happened in Mythic Amirdrassil. The teams that were able to do Race to World first, yeah, okay, they killed Farok and Tindril and Farok. But you have Mythic raid teams that have been spending months on those fights and couldn't get it down until they got nerfed into oblivion. Well, why did they get nerfed into oblivion? Because they were too hard for normal people to do. Non-professional gamers couldn't do those fights without nerfs. That's bad design. And they had to have super complicated and just overbearing add-ons in order to make that work. For a fight that, in theory, all of Blizzard's raid fights should be able to be accomplished without add-ons. I don't think that that's possible. Not with those fights. Not with the complexity of them. But getting back to Season of Discovery, if Blizzard wanted the PvP events to be a surprise, fine. I get it. I understand that. But everything that they changed about those events, it demonstrated a inability for them to see things the way that the players do. And this has been one of the complaints, is that the devs don't play the game. But they do play the game, they just don't play it like we play the game. And when I say we, I'm not referring to me, because I don't play it like this, but there are people who go in there and they find every exploit. And I don't mean like a cheating exploit. I mean like, what happens if I'm eating tender wolf steak while having the savory DV Delight on me, and a Winterfall Firewater potion, and a druid buffs me with Mark of the Wild rank 2, and I'm in a consecrate and in Winterspring. Oh my gosh, look, this weird interaction happened. They're not going to test that stuff. And I'm just making things up. I don't know any of that stuff. The point is, when you read a Wowhead article and it's like, oh, this player was able to one-shot this boss by doing this ridiculous thing, you think, who does that? Somebody did. Somebody thought of that, and they put it together, and they were like, what if I do these complicated 26 steps, then I can break the game. And they do. And so with Season of Discovery, without any testing at all, it's been really tough, because the game is getting broken a lot. Like a lot. And players are having to constantly come back and go, okay, well, this isn't working. And then Blizzard does a hotfix. Now, thankfully, they're really fast on the hotfixes. They pivot quickly. When they need to make a change, they do it fast. I mean, Ashenvale was changed within a week of them realizing, hey, this isn't working. They changed it. Same thing with Stranglethorn Vale. Once they saw that it was a graveyard wrecking crew, they changed it. And so to give them credit for that, yes, that part of it has been a success. But the design philosophy of, we're going to surprise you with content every phase, no. It has been a failure the entire time. It's been a failure. And I don't think that makes Season of Discovery bad. I think that their ability to hotfix things has made it good. But I think that the fact that they don't know how to test things internally, at least not properly, I don't know. And I don't know what their inner workings are. I don't know what their QA department is like. I don't know if it's just Josh and Tim and Nora in there testing it by themselves. If it's just the three of them, I don't know. Because obviously we're not privy to that information, but they need to have some form of testing. That's got to be happening. So is the testing just not thorough enough, or is it not good enough? If you have testers who just really don't know how to test, so I've done QA testing for work, and we're talking computer development sort of things, so not video games. And if you're QA testing something, usually you have a checklist. Here's a list of things that you need to check to see how they work. And you're checking, you don't always check the interactions. You're like, well, what happens if I do number 1, then number 17, then number 23? Oh, look, that caused a memory overflow. You're not going to try that. So I do recognize that it's hard to test the way that they need to make this stuff work. But I also recognize that when you're trying to surprise us with things, it would probably be better if you were a little more thorough with the testing. Take a little longer. That's fine. I think we'd rather wait an extra couple weeks for you to do better testing than to get the content early and have to have it hotfixed 3 times over 2 weeks or 5 times over 2 weeks. And so it's like, well, we might as well have waited the 2 weeks, you know? So I do want to make it clear, overall, I consider Season of Discovery to be a successful adaptation of the game. I just think that Season of Discovery as a no-test surprise product is a failure. So, say what you will about Blizzard. They do have the best intentions in mind. They're just not always able to deliver maybe in the way that they want to. So, all right. That's going to wrap it up for today. I've ranted for long enough. I'm having a blast with Season of Discovery. Probably taking a break from Modern WoW for as long as until patch 10.2.6 comes out. I was going to try and get my Fury Warrior above 2,500, but I don't know that that's going to happen. I guess we'll see what the app fixes are in the next couple weeks. And because it's hard to get in groups. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. If you would like to get in contact with me, if you have any questions or comments about the podcast, or you just want to say hi, or you want to tell me that I'm terrible, please email me at denethar1@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. And if it's a particularly nasty email, I'll read it on the air. So you can also contact me on Twitch. I'm at denethar01. On YouTube also, denethar01. I'm streaming on there occasionally, although I haven't been doing very much lately because I need to move my computer. It's too loud and it causes a lot of feedback in my microphone. So, or you can DM me at Twitter and at Denethar. I'll post on there occasionally, but I really don't have a lot to say on Twitter because I'd rather talk than type. That's obviously, I'm doing a podcast instead of doing a blog. So, right. So that's going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for listening. Really appreciate it. Remember to be kind to each other out there and be kind to the developers, because even though I'm kind of giving them the business here, they're doing their best. And I really appreciate all the products that they've put out, even Wrath of the Lich King and Cataclysm Classic. So thank you, all of you, from Blizzard for giving us these wonderful games that we all love so much. So, but all of you players out there, be kind to each other. And remember, that's a real person on the other side of that keyboard. That ugly orc or the ugly gnome, that's a real person sitting there, and they have real feelings. So make sure you smile and be nice to them. All right. I love you all. Take care, and I'll see you in Azeroth.